Alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. It was very common between the tribes at the old ages in the Arab Peninsula that some tribes attack others, and whoever wins take some people. He kidnapped basically some people and make them slaves for his own good. So what used to happen at this time, that people would go attack another tribe, take some kids, probably 8, 7 years old, or older, younger, doesn't matter. They take them to make them slaves and for them to work for their own benefit and actually to sell them as goods, right?
What if it's like a 1 month-year-old? 1 month old. It wouldn't.
Well, like
You wouldn't be able to.
All right. Thank you for the question. I will postpone the answer for this to
that
the
would
end
just
of the
be on
lecture
sale.
when we open the Q&A time. Okay. So for now, just please, if you have a question, keep it in your mind, and I'm gonna open. Today I'll give good time, inshallah, for Q&A, since we didn't have much time for questions the last few sessions. So I'll give you, inshallah, today some good time. So these tribes, as I said, they used to go kidnap people. If they attack like another tribe, they kidnap people and they make them slaves and they sell them. Okay. So one day, a mother took her son. He was 8 years old. He was dark in color, short, little kid, and she wanted to visit some of her family. Yet this mother was before Islam, so she wasn't Muslim. But those people appreciated and understood the concept of Salat al-Rahim. Salat al-Rahim is something really important in Islam, which is visiting and asking about our relatives and about our families, right? So for instance, someone like myself, I live here, my parents don't live here. It's obligation on me to check on my parents as many as possible. If not every day, then every other day. Right? I have to call my mom, I have to call my dad. Right? If you live here and you have relatives, aunts, uncles, live abroad in another country, you have to. It's actually very important in Islam that you every once in a while, you call them to check on them, to connect with them, to build this bond with them. And that's what's called Salat al-Rahim. So the mother of this kid, she wanted to visit and to tasar rahim some of her relatives. So she took her son and she went out from the house to visit some relatives. What happened is, there was another tribe. They attacked her tribe that day. They kidnapped her son and they took him and they sold him in a market. They used to sell people in markets, and they have to have special markets for selling servants, for selling kids, for selling people who are going to be servants, right? So they kidnapped her son, and they sold him in a market called Uqad, right? So who bought this son? I just wanted to show you something, just a little funny thing, for how they used to put these kids and these people who got kidnapped to work really hard. And if they really tired or something, they slap them to work, right? So when someone get kidnapped, just for the rest of his life, he's working for someone and he can't say no. And while I think about it, it's really, really, really tough thing to work for someone, and you can't wake up one day and you say like, "Mommy, I'm tired, I don't want to go to school." You can't do that. You wake every day, you have to work. If you don't work, you get slapped no matter what, right? I'm going to show you like just a little video. It's really funny. It's a minute. someone spends his life since he gets kidnapped, all his life it's just doing this, right? Transferring rocks or transferring any heavy thing from one place to another. That's what he does day and night. He doesn't go to school or anything, right?
Well, he's acting like he's...
That was actually most of the people who used to get to become servants. So this kid, we mentioned that he got kidnapped from his mother, from his family, and he was sold as a servant in Suq Uqad market, right? And who bought him was actually the cousin of the Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu anha. So Sayyidah Khadija, she was the wife of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So, the cousin of Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu anha sold, he gave him as a gift to her, right? Sayyidah Khadija, she was a business lady, right? And she used to have a lot of trade. So one day, she sends the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, she heard about him, that he is like very trustworthy, and he's a very smart man. So she wanted to do business with him. So she sent the Nabi alayhi salatu. Actually, that was before he became Nabi, right? That was when he was still young. So she sent him in to do like some business for her in another country, right? In the Sham. So the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took her goods and he went all the way to Sham. He sold her goods. He made a lot of profit. And then instead of like just bringing the profit means like good money, right? So instead of giving her this money, he decided to make another business by buying some goods from Sham and sell it back in Medina or in Mecca, right? So after that, Sayyidah Khadija radiallahu anha, she really liked the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She really liked the way he was very honest, generous, smart, and trustworthy. And she wanted to marry him, and they got married, and that's a different story. Once they got married, Sayyidah Khadija gave her slave, Zayd, as a gift to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as a generous person, he couldn't stand having a slave whatsoever. So from the day one, when she gifted Zayd to him, he freed him. He told him, you know, you're a free man. You're no longer a slave. It's up to you. If you still want to live with me, that's fine. If you don't, khalas, that's fine. So Zayd, the way he saw how the Prophet ﷺ, and that was even before he became a prophet, it was just a normal person at the time, he saw like how he treated him and how humble he was, right? So he decided to stay. And Zayd afterwards, he was telling us the stories about how Nabi ﷺ treated him, right? So he said, I have served Muhammad ﷺ for 10 years. He never told me for one thing that I did, why did you do it? And he never told me for something that I didn't do, why didn't you do it? He was so generous to him. Another thing, Nabi ﷺ used to do everything for himself by his own hands. So Nabi ﷺ used to wash his clothes, fix something that needs to be fixed by himself, even though that he has a servant. But no, this is humbleness. This is like how we should treat people, right? If someone is a rich man, he has a company, he has people working for him, that's how he should treat them. He should treat them like his own sons and daughters. That's what the Islam taught us. To be humble, to be fair with everyone, to treat people the same exact way we love to be treated, right? The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam قال إيه? لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه, right? No one truly believes unless he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. So if you have someone that's serving you, if you were in his spot, and this is not only in like serving, this is in everything. If you were in his spot, right, how would you want him to treat you? That's something Nabi ﷺ used to teach us. And Nabi ﷺ never differentiated between his friends yet. Right? He never differentiated between his friends. He never treated someone good because he was rich, and he treated someone bad because he was poor. He never treated someone good because he was like white, and he never treated someone bad because he was black. And Nabi ﷺ was fair with everyone. And this is the most important, and that's actually the first message Islam taught us. Do you guys know what's the first sin in humanity, in life? Yes.
Me?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Qabil killed Habil with a stone.
That's not the first one. Jannah.
Sayyidina Adam picked the apple off the tree.
That's not the first one.
Shaitan was rebellious and disobeyed Allah and did not make sujood to Adam.
Perfect. And you know why?
Because he was jealous.
He was racist, actually. Right? What did Iblis? What did Iblis told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Oh, I know.
He said what? He said, Ana, guys listen. He said, Ana khayrun min. I am better than him. خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. You have created me from fire, and you created him from clay. I am white, he's black. I am American, is from Middle East. I am something, he's something. I'm rich, he's poor. That was the first sin in humanity, ever. So in Islam, this is one of the major sins. And the Nabi ﷺ was the complete opposite from this. He was fair to everyone. One day, Nabi ﷺ had a very poor friend, and his name was Zahir. Right? So Zahir was not from Mecca, but he used to come every once in a while to do some business, and he was really, really poor man. And he once passed by Nabi ﷺ's house. He knocked the door. He said, like, can I meet with the Prophet? They said he's not home. He said, Khalas, I'm Zahir. Please don't let him know when he comes back. So Nabi ﷺ, when he went back, and he was the Prophet, right? He's like the president of the country. When he went back to his house that day, he told him, his wife told him, like, Zahir, your friend passed by. Typically, if someone knows like a really poor person that doesn't have like much importance, he's not like a really important person, right? He would say, khalas, he might pass by me again, maybe tomorrow or something. No, Nabi ﷺ went out trying to think, where could Zahir be now, right? He might be at Fulan's house, or he might be at this house. And then he said, oh, you know what? Most likely, he would be in the market, selling and buying, right? So Nabi ﷺ went to the market, and actually Zahir was standing, selling just very few things that he had at the time. And Nabi ﷺ wanted to joke with him a little bit. So he came from his back, and think about it, like when Zahir was in the market, and Saudi Arabia is really hot, he most likely was like sweating, and you know, he's not in the best shape, right? But still, the Nabi was so humble. He came from his back, and he something like, he hugged him from the back like this, and he said, who wants to buy this slave? Who wants to buy this slave? Actually, Zahir was not a slave, right? So he thought someone is like trying to steal his goods. So he kept like pushing his hands like, Arsilni, take your hands off. And Nabi ﷺ kept his hand, right? He said, who wants to buy this slave? Who wants to buy this slave? And the guy, Zahir started getting like nervous. But he saw like everyone smiling. Everyone else knew that this is the Prophet, right? So he saw like smile in everyone's face. He's like, that must be someone joking with me. So when he took off the hands of the Prophet ﷺ, and he turned, he found him the Prophet. And then he said, Tajiduni kasadan ya Rasulullah, which means like, if you sell me, you will not get like good money out of me, right? So the Nabi ﷺ, he said, وَلَكِنَّكَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ غَالِي, but you are really, really expensive or like valuable in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That's how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to treat his friends. Also, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very merciful with people, right? So he was one day like coming back from work, and he was actually, his head was full of tons of stuff. He's leading the Muslims. He has problems with the non-Muslims. He has war here, war there. He has many things, right? And one day coming back to his house, and one little girl, she wants to buy something from the market. She comes to him, she grabs his hand, she starts walking with him, and the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, just out of mercy, he go with her. He go with her all the way to the market. She's just pulling his hand and he's walking. He go to the market, she buys some stuff, she gets home, and he's just walking with her. Look at how merciful Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam he was. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Man la yarham la yurham." If someone doesn't have mercy on people, he would not have mercy on him. Allah will not have mercy on him, and even from other people in this dunya. So Zayd, and his name actually was Zayd Ibn Harithah. So Zayd Ibn Harithah grew up in the house of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and that was as I said, that was before the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam become a prophet. He was just a normal person at the time. One day, the family, some people from the tribe of Zayd Ibn Harithah were doing Hajj. They were doing pilgrimage, right? And someone may ask me, you said before Islam, right? How come they were doing pilgrimage before Islam? Yes, the Arab used to do Hajj even before Islam. Because as most of you guys know, Hajj started at the time of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, and it was never stopped. So since Ibrahim alayhi salam, all the way till today, Hajj has been taking place every single day. Even though the non-believers used to do like a complete different Hajj than the one we do right now, and they used to worship idols close to the Kaaba and so, but still they used to do Hajj. So some people from the tribe of Zayd ibn Harithah, they were doing Hajj and they saw him, right? So they went back to his father and they told him, you know what? We know like where your son is. We saw him in Mecca. So most likely someone from Mecca bought him when he was kidnapped at the first place. So his father knew like in order for him to buy his son, he would need a lot of money, right? So he tried to collect as much money as possible from his friends, from his neighbors, from whoever he can. And he took his brother. So the father took his brother, which is Zayd's uncle, right? And they both went all the way to Mecca. And they asked, does anyone know like where is Zayd? He said yes. He is owned by someone named Muhammad, and as we mentioned, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam freed him the first day. So they went to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and they met him, right? And they said, we have heard you're from a very generous family, and you guys treat the guests well, and you guys are like so generous, and you feed those who come to do pilgrimage, and you feed the Hajij, and you start like telling him like you guys are really good people and stuff. And Rasulullah told him, okay, what do you want? What's up? He said, you know, Zayd ibn Harithah, your servant, he's my son. And we are here to buy him, to free him. So tell us, how much do you want? We're going to give you the money. We take our son, right? And anyone in the world, if you got kidnapped from your parents, and you go live anywhere, you would dream for that day that your family finds you, right? So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he told him, what about something better? What about something better than this? He said, what? He said, we bring Zayd here, and we give him the choice. If he chooses to go with you guys, more than welcome, I'll not take a penny. For free, take him. And if you choose to stay with me, I won't say no. I'll take him. Right? The men couldn't believe. They said, fair enough. Definitely fair enough. What? You will ask my son if he wants to come with me or no? Definitely he will. Right? So what happened is, Nabi sallallahu arsal لزيد, he called him. So he came. When he saw his parents, he was like, his father and his uncle, he was really happy, right? He hugged them and so. And then the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told him, Zayd, now your parents found you. That's great. It's up to you. You want to go with them? More than welcome. You're free. We don't want nothing from you guys. If you want to stay with me, you're also more than welcome. I love you. You've been really good son to me. All right. And surprisingly,
He stayed.
Zayd Ibn Harithah chose to stay with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And I'm repeating, that was even before he became a prophet. I mean, when Zayd chose to sit with him, he didn't know he's a prophet. He didn't know that he's coming to be a prophet. He was just a regular person to him, but he treated him really, really good. Even much better than how his father used to treat him. Right? That's why Zayd ibn Harithah chose to stay with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So after this incident, Zayd's father and his uncle were really, they calmed down, and they were sure that this person is really taking care of their son. So they weren't afraid anymore, and they left. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam took Zayd, and he went up a mountain, and he started yelling at people and calling them, and he said, you guys are my witness. He is from now on Zayd ibn Muhammad. So he adopted him. He called him to be his son officially. Well, adopting kids is after when Islam came, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbidden that we adopt people, which means we change their names to make it after our names, right? You can adopt an orphan, which means you can take care of him, he can live in your house and all this, but without changing his name. He can't be like Muhsin ibn Abubakr. That doesn't work, right? If I adopted Muhsin Kofta, he has to stay Muhsin So that, as I mentioned, that was before Nabi ﷺ become a prophet. That was before Nabi ﷺ became a prophet, so he didn't know that adopting kids would be forbidden later on. So since that moment, everyone started calling him a Zayd ibn Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Zayd lived with the Prophet ﷺ for many years, and then revelation started to come to Nabi ﷺ, and he became prophet. Later on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed one ayah, which is "Ud'uhum li'aba'ihim huwa aqsatu 'inda Allah." Call them with their father's name, right? And Allah forbidden that we change people's names, so he had to become again Zayd ibn Harithah. No, he's no longer Zayd ibn Muhammad. So Nabi alayhi salam, he had a very rich cousin. Her name was Zainab bint Jahsh. So, and as you guys see, Zayd was just a poor kid who was servant like a few years back, right? So, in order to also eradicate these differences in society, Nabi ﷺ invited Zayd to marry his cousin, which she were like very rich, and he was a poor man. But as I mentioned earlier, in Islam, we don't have differences between people. Everyone is equal in front of the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only thing that differentiates us in this life is what? Is what?
Iman.
It's your face.
Naam. Is taqwa Allah Azza wa Jal. Is that how much you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much you have iman in your heart. And who only knows this?
Allah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So can we differentiate between anyone in this dunya whatsoever? No. Why? Because we can't even know how much iman a person has. So I just want to emphasize on something. You see how when the Nabi alayhi salatu salam treated Zayd at the first place, he ended up having him, living with him, serving him, and chose him over his parents. Have you guys noticed that? When we do good to people, when the Nabi ﷺ did good to Zayd, from day one, from the first day, he took him, he freed him, right? And he treated him really good. He never expected that Zayd, later on, after a few years, would choose to stay with him over his parents, right? And this is an amazing cycle that I really love. How when you do good from one, like you do good, you're not expecting any good out of it, right? One day, this good will get back to you somehow. Amazingly, amazingly. You do good for someone, and this good will return definitely back to you from another person. Let's watch this and continue afterwards. So, won't touch these. Okay. Try it. Malak?
When Zayd the slave, when Muhammad freed him and he also had been like collect him, and which thing made Zayd to come with him, the politeness or that he freed him?
Well, both. Both. I just need someone who got this movie, who understood it very well, to explain it. Zana? Yeah, I want you to raise your voice, please. I don't hear. يا جنة عندي صوتك. Perfect. Yeah, this is that's simply the idea. The idea simply is this little girl, she's simply selling napkins, right? Or like bargaining. Right? Yeah. So, so she saw like this lady crying, and this lady was crying because she had a fight with her husband, right? So she saw her crying, so she went, she offered her napkin, and before the old lady gave her the money, she left. So she basically gave her the napkin out of goodness. She didn't expect money out of it, or she gave it to her as a gift. So the lady, she sent a message to her husband, who was sitting in the restaurant eating or drinking, right? She said something like, sorry. So he was happy that this happened, so he gave 50, let's say dollars for now. So he gave 50 pounds. It wasn't pounds.
50 tax.
So he gave something like $50, right, to the guy who was working. So the guy went and bought some food from this lady for the hammam, and he gave her 20. So she had to use this 20, and she bought some meat for the family, and she was really happy. And just it happened to be the mother or the grandmother of this little girl. Right? So this is simply the idea that I was talking about. When you do good, it comes back to you from a place that you do not even expect it. So in order to give time for Q&A, I'll just tell you the last story. The Nabi ﷺ used to trust Zayd very well. And one day, the Nabi ﷺ sent a messenger to meet the Roman emperor. Right? He sent him with a message to the Roman emperor, and to tell him like some stuff. So this guy, he just disrespected the messenger of the Prophet ﷺ, and he killed him. Right? So that was, at the time, that was considered, this thing was considered as if like, I'm challenging you. You're sending me a messenger. If I kill him, that means start the war. I'm challenging you. You can't do anything to me. And the Muslims at the time weren't so much. But the Nabi ﷺ, since this man did this to his messenger, he prepared a little army, was 3,000 Muslims. right? Do you know how much the army of the emperor, the Roman emperor, how many they were?
10,000.
They were 300,000, which means each person from the Muslims is going to face 1,000 person from the Romans. One versus 1,000. 3,000 versus 300,000.
It's 300.
Right? And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam put Amir on them, like the leader. He said the leader is Ja'far. If Ja'far got killed, put Zayd. Zayd, the one who used to live with him. And he was really, really, really beloved to him. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He used to love him so much. As I said before, he used to treat him even better than his son. Right? So he said if Zayd got killed, put Abdurrahman Abu Ruwah. Right? So what happened is basically the Muslims, they started the war against the Romans. Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, he was fighting with one hand and carrying the flag with the other hand. So one of the mushrikeen cut his hand, cut the hand that has the raya, the flag. So he carried it with the other hand. So they cut his other hand. So he carried it just with his shoulders like this until they killed him, radiallahu anhu, and the flag dropped in the floor. Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, just because he lost both of his hands in the war, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting in Medina talking to his friends and telling them exactly what's happening at the place of the war. So he told him, now your brother Ja'far got laqa rabbahu, istashhad. He got killed, right? And he told them exactly what happened. And this is one of the miracles of the Prophet. He was sitting telling them exactly what's happening over there. So he told them, like, he lost his first hand, he lost his second hand, he got killed, and the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam called him Ja'far al-Tayyar. He told them that he saw Sayyidina Ja'far flying in the Jannah, right? So after this, they called him Ja'far al-Tayyar, the one who flies, right? Just because he lost both of his hands in the war. And after this, Zayd Ibn Harithah took the flag and he got killed, radiallahu anhu. And after this, Abdurrahman ibn Ruwah took the flag and he got killed, radiallahu anhu. And then Khalid ibn Walid took the flag. If you guys know Khalid, Khalid has never lost a battle in his life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written Nasr, victory for Muslims in this unbelievable war. 3,000 Muslims versus 300,000, and the reason is we as Muslims we don't rely on numbers, we don't rely on equipment, but we rely on our iman billah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to cry. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam cried so many times with no voice, right? He used to cry silently. Even when his kids died, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to cry. Only when Zayd Ibn Harithah died, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was crying till everyone heard him. He was having an ahib, like when someone is crying really loudly, he couldn't handle it. So in the day when Sayyidina Zayd Ibn Harithah got killed, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was crying really, really bad. And he missed him so much because, as I told you guys, he used to love him more than even his own kids. Radiallahu anhu wa ardah. Sayyidina Zayd ibn Harithah had a son, his name is Usama ibn Zayd, and they called him Hibb Rasulillah wa ibn Hibb Rasulillah, which means he was beloved to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the son of the other beloved to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the story of Sayyidina Ja'far. I will, as I promised, I will open the questions for you guys. So now we can have questions about today. and about قصة سيدنا عمر and سيدنا حمزة we had a few weeks ago, and about قصة أحمد حسنين, my old friend, rahmatullah alayh, and about الوضوء. If you guys have any questions in these fields, I can tell you. Just one amazing thing that happened this week, this Friday, actually yesterday. You guys know Shihab, right?
Yes.
Shihab's father was about an hour and a half or 2 hours from Foxborough or from here, right? That he was doing some work, and he was trying to come back before Salat al-Jum'ah to attend the Friday the Jum'ah prayer at Sharon, right? But actually time passed quickly and he couldn't make it in Sharon, so he had to stop at any random masjid in the way coming back from his work. He had to stop by like at a little masjid up there to pray Jum'ah in order not to miss prayer. And guess what the khutbah was about? It was about Ahmed Hassanin, my friend. Subhanallah. Amazingly.
But who did the khutbah?
Someone.
Who is it?
Yeah, someone that we don't personally know.
Oh,
Yeah. Could you guys loud your voice when you ask the question so I don't have to repeat?
How about you guys stand up? Stand up.
okay.
Stand up.
Yeah, if you can stand up.
So this question is back to the lecture on Hamza and Omar. I wanted to know when the guy who killed Hamza in the Battle of Uhud, is he the same person who killed the chief of the Murtaddin, Musaylim al-Kadhdhab, or is that someone else?
That's a good question. It's a tough one. I don't know the answer. Does anyone know the answer of this question? هل اللي قتل حمزة اللي هو وحشي, is he the same person who killed Musaylim al-Kadhdhab?
No.
I'm not sure. Yeah. That's a good question. Thank you. Ahmed? Yeah.
In the battle, which people who lost their hands, what team were they on?
Oh, Ja'far was the leader of the Muslims. His name was Ja'far and he lost both of his hands. Thank you. Jalal?
Why would anybody risk his life risk his hands holding a flag? What's the point?
No, that's a good question. When people used to go in a war at that time in a battle, each team has to have a flag which shows that this team is still alive, right? If the team's flag got down and no one could carry it, that means this team got beaten, right?
Why didn't he just like put on glue it on a hat or something?
Yeah, this is.
I don't know. Just
What was that time?
No, I don't know. Something or like something.
That's a technical question. I might have to call them and ask.
They're dead.
Guys, hold on. Let's take the questions. Malik, you have a question? What's going on in this one? Hey.
Every battle of that the Muslims faced, like in history, and like the people who were still alive that were in the battle, were they were they the same players that battled like the other teams, like from going like time and time like Uhud and Badr and all these things?
That's a great question. Yeah, some of them were, and some of them weren't. So like between a battle and another, some people, some new Muslims become Muslims, so they join the new teams. Some of them die for any reason. Some of them can't attend the next one for any reason. But like the majority, yes. Now, Lujain, you have a question? Okay. Yumna? Guys, voice. Raise your voice. Naam, naam. That's what I said. Sayyidina Ja'far, after he got killed, Sayyidina Zayd took the flag. Because they were all together. No, Sayyidina works with the Sahaba. Nujayn, yes? Does it what? No, I said they won. Well, so if they win, that means like good amount of them didn't, yeah, they got victory. Not all of them got killed, just some of them. Tuqa. What is it? Nah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to appoint them. Yeah. Maryam? Is that okay? That didn't happen. This is like, that's right, wujudi, that never happened and I came to answer about it, you know? So, I don't know. Jannah? What was the flag? No, there wasn't something called Saudi Arabia. No, it's just a flag for Muslims. Why don't like nothing? Yeah, could be like a piece of something.
One more question.
Serena? Serena?
Do you know exactly what
I don't know what's so special about the flag. I don't know exactly. Yeah, the photos I had about the battle didn't have the flag on. Black and white. Yes. What's the I tried to explain this. Yeah, guys, I explained earlier, and existing nudges is just listen up. So the flag was a sign that this team is still fighting and is still alive, right? So if the flag drops, someone else has to take it and carry it. If the flag drops and no one carries it, that means this team is khalas. It's beaten. Nah. Nah. Dana? Just quick. So, could it be someone else or the Prophet who does what? No, it happened many, many times that Nabi Sallallahu led the war by himself, and in other incidents, someone else had to lead. Right? Nah, if he's attending the war, he is the leader. No.
Amina, one last question.
Okay. What if, like, let's say you're in a battle and then the flag drops but no one sees it drop or something?
We're very obsessed about this flag, Masha.
This is technical.
Jannah Sha'ar, last one.
If he doesn't what?
If he didn't have
Let's move on beyond the flag.
I know.
couple of updates.
But how many flags though?
Okay, we'll take these announcements, and I'll continue taking questions afterwards.
And once I do